Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going deep on a topic that's, well, kind of mind-blowing the race to build artificial general intelligence.
CGI.
Exactly, AGI. AI that's not just good at one specific thing, but like truly as smart as a human, at least in theory.
Right.
And to help us unpack all this, we're diving into the book Supremacy, AI, ChatGPT, and the race that will change the world.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts and the index, which is actually super helpful because it lays out all the key players and concepts.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap through this whole wild world of AI.
Totally. So where are we headed with this deep dive? Well, first we got to understand like why this race even exists, what's driving it.
Right, the motivations.
Then the big question, what happens if we actually get there? What are the potential benefits, but also, the risks of AGI?
And how all this could impact, well, all of us, really.
You,
Yeah.
everyone listening.
Yeah.
And this book really zeroes in on two central figures in this whole AGI story, Sam Altman and Demis Hassabis.
Both brilliant, obviously, but coming from, like, totally different worlds.
Yeah, Altman, the classic Silicon Valley entrepreneur, he was really driven by this, like, urge to solve global problems.
Right, and he saw AI as this potential force for good, this way to, like, solve these huge challenges and create abundance for everyone.
It's interesting, that desire to help others, it actually goes way back for Altman. Like, in high school, he came out as gay in a pretty conservative town.
Wow.
And then he created a safe space for LGBTQ students. It kind of shows this pattern, right? This like drive to challenge the status quo and advocate for positive change, even early on.
Yeah, I see that.
Then you've got Hassabis, a chess prodigy turned game developer, and then a neuroscientist.
Write a resume.
Seriously. And he was like fascinated by the human brain, wanted to use AI to crack the code of consciousness itself.
And even Hassabis' early life kind of hints at this, like, grand ambition. He was a seriously talented chess player, could have gone pro, but decided to leave that world behind.
Really?
Yeah, he felt he could, apply his strategic thinking to even bigger challenges.
Fascinating. So we've got these two super driven guys, both aiming for AGI, but with different approaches. DeepMind, Hassabis' company, was laser focused on research, very secretive about their work.
You have to remember, this was back when AGI was considered like a fringe idea.
Right, almost science fiction.
Exactly. Most of the AI community was pretty skeptical.
But Altman, after some success with other tech ventures, became like captivated by AGI. He co-founded OpenAI with this whole idea of transparency, open sourcing their technology.
A radical approach at the time.
Totally. And we can't forget Elon Musk's role in all this. He was one of OpenAI's initial funders and very vocal about his concerns about AI safety. He even suggested like humans might need to escape to Mars if AI goes rogue.
Talk about a dramatic take.
Right. But it kind of highlights these early fears about AGI's potential dangers, even amidst all the excitement. So you've got DeepMind focused on research, OpenAI aiming for openness, and then things get even more complicated.
Because big tech steps in.
Exactly. And that's where we'll pick things up after a quick break. All right, so we left off with DeepMind and OpenAI, both kind of entangled with these huge tech companies.
Google and Microsoft, yeah.
Exactly. And that kind of sets the stage for this major shift in the AI landscape.
The rise of generative AI.
Right. Suddenly, AI isn't this abstract concept anymore. It's something people can actually use, interact with.
And it all kind of exploded with OpenAI's release of ChatGPT.
Powered by GPT 3.5. Yep.
And it just took off. Suddenly, everyone's talking about AI, trying it out, seeing what it can do.
It's like AI went from science fiction to everyday reality almost overnight.
Pretty much.
And it wasn't just ChatGPT making waves. OpenAI also released DALL-E 2.
Which could generate images from text descriptions.
It was mind-blowing. But it also sparked a lot of debate, especially among artists.
Yeah, concerns about copyright infringement, whether AI would replace human creativity.
Big questions, for sure. And all this rapid progress, all these breakthroughs, it really kicked off an arms race in the tech world.
Between OpenAI, Google, and a bunch of others.
Everyone wants to be the leader in AI. Google, feeling the heat from ChatGPT's success, rushed to release their own chatbot, Gemini.
And they even, they kind of embellished their demo video a bit.
Really?
Yeah, made it seem like Gemini could do things it couldn't actually do at that point.
Wow. So even in this race to advance AI, there's this element of hype, maybe even some deception.
It makes you think, right? Is it really about pushing the boundaries of science, or is it more about market share, about who controls this powerful technology?
And I guess that brings us to the listener. Why should they care about all this?
Well, for one, because AI is already impacting their lives probably more than they realize.
And as these AI tools become more powerful, more integrated into our daily lives, it's important to be aware of the forces at play behind them.
To understand the motivations, potential benefits, but also the risks.
Speaking of risks, this whole AI explosion also brought a lot of attention to the idea of, what was it called, AI doom.
Yeah, the idea that AI could become so intelligent that it poses an existential threat to humanity.
Like the Terminator scenario.
Kind of. And a movement called effective altruism really played a key role in pushing that idea into the mainstream.
Effective altruism. Now, I'm not super familiar with that.
It's basically this philosophy that's all about using evidence and reason to figure out how to do the most good with your charitable giving.
Okay.
And for a lot of effective altruists, mitigating the risk of AI, even if it's way off in the future, is like the most important cause.
More important than, say, fighting poverty or disease.
That's the argument, yeah. They're thinking long-term about potential harms on a massive scale.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is,
Yeah.
and there are definitely valid points on both sides, but focusing solely on this potential AI apocalypse, it can have some unintended consequences.
Like what?
Well, for one, it can distract from the harms that AI systems are already causing today, like bias in algorithms used for things like loan approvals or job recommendations.
Right, those are real issues impacting people right now.
Exactly. It's like worrying about a meteor's hitting Earth while ignoring a fire in your own kitchen.
You got to deal with both.
And focusing on the long-term threat can also be used by tech companies to kind of downplay the ethical concerns about their current AI products.
So they can avoid accountability in the present by pointing to some distant hypothetical future.
Exactly. It's a clever tactic, unfortunately.
So where does all this leave us? Should we be panicking about AI taking over the world, or just ignore the warnings and embrace these cool new tools?
I think both extremes are unhelpful. The key is to stay informed, engage in these discussions critically. The future of AI isn't predetermined. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make.
So it's not just about, like, the tech itself. It's about our values, our priorities as a society.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important question, one that might hit a little closer to home for a lot of listeners.
What's that?
Well, what does the future hold for AGI and its impact on, well, humanity itself, like on a personal level?
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. Yeah, it does feel like we're on the verge of something massive, exciting for sure, but yeah, maybe a little terrifying too. There are so many unknowns.
That's the thing about AGI. It really could reshape our world in ways we can barely even fathom right now. But I think that uncertainty makes it even more important that we, have these conversations now before things move even faster.
So let's try to bring it all back to this deep dive. We've talked about Altman and Hassabis, their different visions. We've seen how generative AI has kind of blown up the whole field. And of course, the whole AI doom debate. What are the key takeaways here? What do we want our listener to walk away with?
Well, I think the biggest one is that this race to AGI, it's not driven by any one thing. It's a mix of idealism, ambition, and, yeah, let's be real, corporate interests. It's not a simple story.
Yeah, definitely not black and white.
Not at all.
We've seen how good intentions can get, well, a little twisted when you throw in the pursuit of profit and power. And AI, it's already having a huge impact on our lives, even though we don't know where it's ultimately headed.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we need to be talking about all this, about the ethics of AI, the potential risks. We can't just leave it to the tech companies to sort it all out.
So what can our listener do? It's easy to feel overwhelmed, right? AI is such a complex field, and it's changing so fast. What can one person do to actually make a difference?
Well, for starters, stay informed. Engage in these discussions. Don't just passively consume information. There are tons of resources out there, books, articles, podcasts like this one. Learn as much as you can.
And don't just keep it to yourself, right? Talk to people about these issues, share what you're learning, ask questions.
Exactly. Challenge assumptions, debate different viewpoints. It's about being an active participant in shaping the future of AI.
We need to demand transparency and accountability from these companies and support organizations that are, working on AI safety and ethics.
Right. Because the future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make as individuals, as communities, as a global society.
So, yeah, stay curious, keep learning, and use your voice. Help ensure that this incredible technology is used for good, not for harm.
Well said. The future is what we make it.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AGI. Hope you found it insightful, and until next time, keep exploring.